Welcome to Sports Leadership Topic 3A Part 5, where we continue talking about diversity. Now we're going to have a look at Hofstede's cultural dimensions. Gert Hofstede worked for IBM for a considerable number of years, but in the early 1970s, when IBM had about 300,000 employees worldwide, he was lucky enough to be working in HR, and he was very interested in different cultures and what characteristics those cultures displayed. He was also lucky enough that IBM was at the peak of their time in mainframe work, so he was able to draw on the expertise of mainframe programmers, his own interest in cultures, and the fact that he worked in HR in a multinational organisation with offices all around the world staffed by different nationalities. So he was able to survey all the staff at IBM and then correlate that data, and from that he found there were 4 sets of characteristics that different ethnicities seemed to display. So the first one that he came up with was this idea of power distance, where how much do people accept equality in power in a society? High power distance score means you accept that there's going to be inequality between the institutions of the society, the organisations that are within it, and the individuals. A low power distance score means that people are going to expect equality and fairness in their society between those kind of institutions. Uncertainty avoidance is where, at one end of the scale, so seek certainty and conformity, that's high uncertainty avoidance, or low uncertainty avoidance where they accept and are comfortable in unstructured situations or very changeable environments. High uncertainty cultures, avoidance cultures, tend to be more emotional. Next, we have individualism, so where societies think it's all about the individual and that the individual is responsible, or collectivism at the other end, where you've actually got a very tightly knit society where everybody looks out for one another and you have organisations and safeguards to protect members' interests. And then the last continuum is masculinity, so where you've got a very competitive, achievement-oriented, work-centralised culture as compared to a feminine culture, which is more about cooperation, collaboration and quality of life. Now we're going to have a look at some of the country's scores from Hofstede's work. So if we have a look at Australia's score, you'll see they've got a reasonably low power distance score, it's under 50%. They're in the middle for uncertainty avoidance, so they're kind of sort of okay with some uncertainty but not lots. They're a very individualistic society, so they're at 90, nearly at the top end of the scale, and they're a slightly more masculine than feminine culture. If we have a look at Great Britain, they're almost the same as Australia for power distance score. They like it to be fair. They actually do like, or they're able to cope with more uncertainty than Australians are. They've actually also a highly individualistic society, and they're slightly more masculine culture than Australia is, so less collaborative. If we have a look at the US, another common trading partner, they also like or expect their society to be somewhat fair. They're about middling for uncertainty avoidance. They're able to deal with less uncertainty than Britain though. They're extremely individualistic, along with Britain and Australia, and they're probably closer to Australia for their views on collaboration and work drive. We have a look at New Zealand. We're actually an even more we have more expectations of fairness in our society than the others. We're about middling for uncertainty avoidance. We're actually more collective than the other 3 we've just highlighted here, and we're actually slightly more feminine, more collaborative than the Australians. It gives us some idea of how other cultures around us are.